we're tying up a super cool style of fly. You got to see how the wings turn out on this one. It's called Antonio's Quill Midge. It's a new pattern from Umpqua.
Fly, fish, food.
Look at this tiny little scud hook in my purple popsicle Renzetti Master Vise. Just getting ready to be tied. Alright, so the first thing you're going to notice with this is I've got it tilted up. Most of the times when you tie on a scud hook, you'll have it down like this. But I'm going to tilt this up because I want the eye, not that far, I want the eye to be kind of more level to the table. That way when I start tying in the stuff closer to the head, as you'll see, there's less chance of it, my thread unraveling. That's how I want it. Okay, so this is a super simple fly. I'm going to tie this fly in the style that I like, which is the mil-spec style. Don't ask me about the name. It's just an easy way to say that I'm going to color my thread. If you look up to the right here, you're going to see a picture of the quill body version as well. So I'm just going to do the simple body version, but the key to this fly is the wing. Our good buddy Pablo in Spain absolutely crushes fish with this style of fly. So let's get to it. Just simple 70 denier or thin thread, something that's going to lay flat is key with this fly. So I'm going to flatten my thread out a little bit, and I'm just going to wrap the fly down to about the bend, just like that. And from here, I'm just going to unwind my thread a little bit, not completely flat. And I'm going to color, I don't know, about an inch worth of my thread just with a little brown Sharpie. I've tried all the fancy art markers with this and they bleed too much. So once I have that colored, I'm just going to make open spiral wraps forward, and it kind of just gives a very quaint appearance of a rib. Alright, so for this part, I'm going to take some fluorescent orange EP trigger point fibers, and just like a tiny amount. This is a size 20 fly that I'm tying right here, so you definitely don't want to bulk it up at all. Okay, so I'm going to take these fibers and I'll tie those in a little bit long so that I can pull those back to the length that I want. Got a few stragglers up there, and that's fine. Alright, so we've got this little indicator post type thing tied in, and I'll show you what the purpose of that is in just a sec. I'm not going to be able to get that little straggler. Who cares? Alright, we're going to tie in a little tiny thorax with some, just whatever your favorite dubbing is. This is a little bit scraggly, nymphy dub. So I'll build up a little ball of dubbing, but as you can see, I left a little bit of thread out the head of the fly, and that's critical for what we're going to do next. I'm even going to prop this up more at an angle. So from here, I'm going to take some CDC and I'm going to tie in a bunch of CDC to this fly. So I've got 2 feathers of CDC, and as you can see, the stems are still in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here with my scissors and I'm going to trim out the stems, kind of making the CDC look like that. Okay. So once you have the CDC trimmed of the stem, I'm going to preen all these CDC fibers forward, and it looks like that. It looks like a little puff of CDC. And I'm going to tie that in kind of proportionately. It's okay if it's a little bit longer than what a midge wing would look like, just with a few wraps, and it's going to sit just like that. So at this point, I'm going to take that CDC and trim it off. And I kind of have to be all fingers here for a sec. And Dr. Slick razor scissors are the finest points. Look at that. We better order some more of those. All right, so I've got a little head on this fly, and at this point I'm just going to take the CDC and kind of divide it in half, flay it out a little bit, and I'm going to pull this yarn through the CDC, splitting the wing, and I'm going to trap my thread on the other side of it. A few wraps, and then pull that back on top of itself. So that's what your yarn is doing, and I'm just going to trim that so that it's a little bit shorter than those wings. And in the water you're going to be able to see that little tiny bit of orange better than you think. So once I have that tied in there, just a real quick whip finish, trim off any scragglers, add a little bit of head cement, and you're fishing. Make sure to check out the link in the bottom of this video. Go to flyfishfood.com to get everything you ever wanted for fly tying and fly fishing.